Good boy. Good boy, stay. All right, so here we are with our little guy Rambo, and he is graduating, finishing up his 3-week program today. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at some of the skills that we've been able to develop right now. Good boy, stay. Right now he's on his down stay, and I'm 30 or 40 feet away from him right now. That's a good boy. So first things first is, look, he came in very young boy, with no skills, okay? No skills at all. And so we've been able to develop a great foundation across the board, which is always our goal, right? We always want to develop a great foundation, develop as many skills as we can, make him as well-rounded as possible, give his owners more tools to be able to raise him with, right? Ultimately being able to mold the behaviors that they're looking for and prevent the ones and maybe stop the ones that we don't want, right? So good. This is already really, really good. I was able to walk all the way over there, down, stay, okay? I walked over there, grabbed the skateboard, came back, as you saw right there. I went up to him, he got a little excited. I wanted to reward him for that. Instead, I needed to get him to lay back down, right? So that's okay, all right, that's okay. He obviously has a clear understanding of what we're wanting. Good boy, stay. But again, one thing I always want to show you guys as we go through this is, again, what does it take to get him to listen, right? So again, at this point, he knows these concepts, he knows the understandings here. We're just making sure that we can get him to listen, okay? Because that's half the battle, right? Half the battle is getting your dog to listen, okay? So, good boy, stay. So first things first here, again, always when our dog is on a stay and we go to pick the leash up, they should not get up. That doesn't mean they're released, okay? So we wanna make sure that we pick that leash up and maybe even drop it down and pick it up again, good boy. And to release him, we'll go ahead and tell him, okay, and clap our hands, right? So we're gonna be upbeat, we'll say, okay, clap our hands, that's his release. So we'll hop right into some of our walking right now. Come on, good boy. We'll hop into some of our walking right here. Okay, good. He was not leash trained coming in, okay, at all. I mean, he did not come in with the leash, right? So this is already fantastic, okay? So we've conditioned him to our left side. We train all of our dogs on our left side. Okay, we hold the leash like this, sit, good boy. We hold the leash, put the loop through our right thumb, fold some of that slack over, hold it in that right hand. This left hand is gonna be holding the rest of the leash here. You're gonna position it as if you were kind of riding a bicycle, handlebars, okay, with your fists upwards, right? Okay, and then we'll just let that left hand drop down and be loose here, okay? We want him to follow us, so I want you to be shoulders up and leading him, okay? Good boy, good boy. So he knows how to follow. He understands his leash pressure, okay? So he knows how to follow the leash when we need to steer him also. Okay, that's very important. Come on, boy. Good. So he heard something going by here. I was able to just say, come on, boy. Guide him with the leash. He followed right along. So when we're gonna come to a stop, we're gonna shorten the leash up a little bit. Sit. We're gonna have him sit. All right, so let's try that one more time. Come on, let's go. I'll take off. I'll tell him, come on, let's go. And we move. So I like to tell him every time we're doing something, right? So if we're coming to a stop, I want to tell him, sit. Good boy. If we're going to take off, I'm going to say, okay, come on, let's go. Right? So on that stop, good boy. Good boy. Again, we condition them to stop by our side, right? So we shorten the leash up and then we tell them to sit. Okay. So let's see with that one more time. Let's go around. We want to make sure that we shorten the leash up so he doesn't pull away too much. Okay. So shorten the leash. Rambo, sit. Good boy. We'll tell him to sit. He can come right by your side right there. First parts first here on your sitting by your side is not to be moving around. Okay, so this is part of our leash manners. So leash manners, no jumping, lunging, barking, pulling, or leaving our side without permission. No jumping, barking, pulling, lunging, or leaving our side without permission. Okay, so meaning we need him to stay by our side. Okay, so first part of this is we're gonna grab some treats, go short on the leash here. You're gonna throw some food out. He's not allowed to get these treats. Okay, this is your first part. He's not allowed to get them. Okay, if there's one thing that we're gonna be upholding on the leash, it's gonna be darting out towards food, because that's how we can work on making sure he doesn't lunge and pull and jump. Okay, if he's leaving your side and darting out to food, he's definitely gonna do all of those other things. Okay, so as you can see here, I didn't give him any words. I didn't tell him no, I didn't tell him I didn't tell him leave it. I'm just using my leash in a flicking motion to let him know not to grab those if he tries, okay? Make sure it's a flick and not a pull. All right, so this is where, again, we're gonna be starting to understand how to use our leash and our collar to communicate to our dog, okay? Essentially controlling some of his impulses, all right? And then also correcting some of the behaviors you don't want. So if we don't want any lunging out or pulling out, then I'm gonna let him know with the leash not to do that, okay? So this is a rule here because we don't want him to be picking food up off of the ground, okay? So this is a rule. Next part of this rule is we're not gonna pick these up and give them to him because we don't want him to eat food off of the ground, so I don't want him to think that he's gonna get it, okay? So I will pick them up and then I can give them to him later, okay? So the next part of this is making sure he doesn't snatch food out of our hands. So here's the same treat. I'm gonna bring them here with me, okay? And if he tries to snatch them out of my hand, I'm gonna do the same motion with the leash, give him a quick jab to let him know not to. If he's respectful and doesn't snatch these treats out of my hand, I can give him some, okay? So we wanna teach our dog, our puppy, that we give him food, he doesn't take food from us, okay? So this is a very important part of controlling the impulses and resources, okay, around our dog. Very, very important, right? That's a good boy. That's a good boy. So let's tell him, okay. Let's get back to some moving here, okay? So he's still on our left side here, walking. We're gonna bring him up to the cot, okay? We're gonna guide him over. We're gonna tell him, go to bed. Good, he's gonna hop up. Most likely he's gonna sit, okay? If he lays down, I'm okay with that also if we haven't told him to sit, okay? So, okay, let's just reset him so we can work on the sit stay really quickly. Okay, so let's tell him, go to bed. Rambo, sit, stay. Okay, so let's make sure that he holds his stay. So you're gonna tell him to sit, you're gonna tell him to stay. We're gonna show him our palm here, good boy, stay, and we're gonna go around him. All right, you're gonna slightly hold the leash up like this. There's no tension on the leash, but you're gonna hold it up just in case you need to give him any guidance here. You see that right there? See, perfect, exactly. So once he dropped down, I give him a little bit of guidance up, okay? So it's much more comfortable for them to lay down, but I do wanna work on the sit stay. Okay, so I do wanna stay, get a couple reps in here of him holding his sit stay, okay? We'll even add a little distraction here with the squeaky ball. Good boy, stay. We can remind him to stay as we go around him. Challenge him with the squeaky ball there, and then I can reward him. Good boy, good boy. So I'm gonna go ahead and release him with the same clapping and saying, okay, okay, good, and we'll move away. All right, so that's how we release him from his stay. So let's bring him back up. Rambo, go to bed. Sit, we'll tell him to sit, we'll tell him down, down, good boy. And then we'll tell him to stay, all right? And we'll run through the down stay. So we have your hand signals, up is sit, down is down, showing your palm is stay, motioning to you is come. I like to use my tapping of my left thigh as his heel command or letting him know that we're moving and we want him to be by our side, okay? Good boy, so let's tell him to stay here, stay. So we can go ahead and drop that leash. Make sure you drop that leash sort of outward, okay? Don't let it just kind of bunch up right there. It's just a little bit more manageable when it's out like this. Good boy, stay. So your first part is gonna be having him hold that while you move around, all right? Good boy, stay. This is already a distraction for him, working with distance, okay? Look, he has to turn his head to watch. We'll tell him to stay. I'll squeak some ball here. Good boy, he's gonna pass that test right there. We can go ahead and reward. You'll come in right here and you'll feed him between his paws. Feed him between his paws, okay? We'll tell him to stay. Rambo, stay. We'll come in with a greater distraction. Stay. So we had to build his confidence around items like the leaf blower here. Okay? Good boy. And as you can see, he's done well. That's a good boy. We can come in and reward him for that one. Good boy. Good boy. So we space out the rewards and we sort of randomize them. Good boy, stay. Okay, we'll come in with the basketball. Okay, something else that we had to boost his confidence with, right? Good boy. So again, always focusing on developing that patience and self-control, right? That's essentially, again, what we're asking our dogs to do. Stay. Is to have patience, self-control, and impulse control. Good boy, stay. So that way they can experience life in a relaxed state of mind. Good boy, stay. So there, I skipped, whoa. So look at this response right here, okay? So down, down, stay. Just remind him what to do, okay? Stay. If he breaks this one more time, then we'll go ahead and guide him with the leash. Good boy, stay. So this is how we work him through. Good boy, stay. Well, this is not new distraction, but again, they can give you that response, stay, regardless of how many times they might have seen it, right? But the idea right there is just get him back on task. Okay, put him back on task, which was the down stay. So notice that I went around twice, right? Just to make sure that we were good there, that he was good. Okay, I'll come back in right now and reward him. Good boy, good boy. So he passed those tests right there. Okay, we also have time to this. Obviously, he's already been doing this for a period of time right now, okay, but we built up to 1 hour here, okay? So again, when we're cooking, when we're eating, when we're cleaning up, we should be working his downstay for 1 hour, right? Or if we're working, okay, I always say again, when you work, our dogs work, okay? So he should be on a downstay, on his cot, on his bed, next to you, while you're working. So we'll put him on command, we'll put him on task, and then periodically you can reward him. Good boy for holding it and listening. All right, so let's go ahead and release him here. We're gonna ask him to come, we're gonna clap our hands, we're gonna say okay, and we're gonna tell him to come. I've got my food ready here because again, he's young and we wanna make sure that we're just continuing to mold his recall, okay? Okay, come, okay, come. Come on, come on, come on, come on. So I bring him all the way in, I have him sit, and I reward him. Good boy. Okay, good boy. Good boy. Rambo, come. Come. So I have him come all the way in, sit. I have him sit. Add a little grabbing of the collar, okay, just to make sure that we can grab him, all right? Okay. That's a good boy. Okay, so let's check out real quick his leash pressure. If you pull up, he will sit. If you pull down, he will lay down, right? Okay. And so we want to make sure that he understands that leash pressure there, so that way we don't get ourselves into a back and forth with listening, okay? We're asking him to sit 14 times, he's not sitting. We want to be able to just ask him 2 times, and then we can follow through, okay? So if we told him to sit and he doesn't, you'll pull the leash up. If we told him to lay down and he doesn't lay down, you'll guide him with the leash, all right? So the leash becomes your backup, right? That's why it's going to be very important for right now that he has the leash on, okay? So don't get yourself into trouble by giving him commands, asking him to do things, requiring from him, not having your leash on, because then he won't be able to follow through. Okay, so we want to make sure that there's no negotiation with that listening, right? So here you go. We'll use your leash, guide him back down. There's no negotiating with the listening. Okay, we have to teach our dog that it's beneficial for them to listen. They're going to get everything they want that way. That's very important. So we need to make sure that we are being transactional with him. Okay, in order for him to get what he wants, he's got to listen first. All right, that would be your positive reinforcement there. If he doesn't listen, you're going to have to follow through and make sure that he does listen, so he knows, okay, I got to listen to mom and dad, right? They don't just have, let's say, false threats, right, or empty threats, right? So just meaning that, again, with dogs, we know it's less talk, more action. Okay, so we develop all these tools so that we can actually first talk, okay, less, a little bit, okay, once or twice we're talking, asking him, and then we can take more action if he doesn't. Okay, good boy, stay. So obviously, again, we've been building this across the board. So whether it's working around other dogs, or we've extended this obviously into the real world, practicing in the real world, teaching him how to behave in the real world. So when he sees other dogs, kids, whatever it might be, obviously we're sort of limited on what we can throw at him, but we've been able to take this foundation and then start to plug it in, right? Good boy, good boy. So the other big part we were working on was his separation. So we've made huge improvements there, okay, with his crate training and his ability to occupy himself, okay, which went along with his potty training also. So his crate training paired with his strong downstay should allow us to really work on separation, right? It allows us to move around and not have our dog just be glued to us and attached to us, which creates that neediness, which creates separation issues, anxiety, all right? So that was pretty good here. That's a really good boy. Okay, I'm gonna release him. Good boy, good boy, good boy, good boy. And just give him some love. Good boy. Smart little guy. Smart little boy, did great. A lot of work in the beginning, okay, with his neediness. Sit. Good boy. Okay, whoa! And he gets a little goofy, right? He's got a goofy personality. We love that. But just we want to make sure that when it's time to work, it's time to work. And when it's time to play, we play, right? So the difference between work and play. So a lot of this had to do with building some work ethic also, right? We had to build a little bit of work ethic. So great foundation here. We're going to build on top of that as he matures and gets older, but great foundation for us to start with right now.